So I've done this whole video once already. Got to turn on the sound. So here we go. We're doing it again. Well, this is last week at the funeral. My Uncle Alfred showed some interest in the tracing of the Ward Irish immigrants. So that's what this video is going to be. Is we're going to trace to the Irish immigrant for the Ward side of the family, the Smith side of the family to the Wards, and also I'm going to show you someone interesting that he found interesting as well at the end of that. So let's get started. First of all, the last video I sent you, we traced the roots up to John Walter. John was a American Revolutionary soldier and quite an interesting fella. So that makes this video a lot easier because we're just going to pick up right where that video left off. And because the Wards are part of that lineage there. As you can see, John Walter married Frankie Ward. There's that Ward name. And from a will for Jacob Ward, this is where we get basically proof of who her parents are. I give to my daughter, Frankie Walter. So we now have Jacob Ward as her dad. And we also have her mom. I went to my beloved wife, Anne Ward. And there we go. Father and mother. And this is all taken, well, this is from the will of Jacob Ward of Culpeper, Virginia, 1791. And this is taken from an investigation of the Walter family lineage. A lot of this information comes from a book called Early Families of the North Carolina Counties of Rockingham and Stokes of the Redwood Missionary Service. There's also another book that a lot of this comes from, and everything in here is cited with sources and stuff like that. So it's all very legit. Okay, so now we have Frankie Ward's parents, Jacob Ward and Anne Hill. Let's take a little bit of a look at Jacob Ward. I don't think I've brought that one up. All right, I'm going to click on Jacob Ward here. And we've got him in the American Revolution through I clicked on the wrong one. We need to click on the accepted facts. Okay, sorry about that. All right, we got him in the American Revolution through the U.S. Revolutionary War rolls in Virginia. We've got his grave on Find a Grave. Not much information there. It just gives like one or two of the children. We got him in the census in Culpeper County. And let's see. One of the facts that I haven't accepted because it's not Jacob himself, but it's important to know. It's a fact that was associated with him. I believe it's going to be on these new ones. Here we go. U.S. and International Marriage Records, John Ward to Mary Campbell in Ireland. Why would that be important? Because that would be his parents, we believe. If we go back to the tree. I meant to have these tabs up already, but I forgot to do that particular one. So we go up here and there we go. We have in there the parents of Jacob Ward and being Mary Campbell and John Ward. Now you say, well, what evidence do you have of that besides the marriage certificate? Well, that was a little harder to find. Once we start going this far back, we may not find documents like census and everything, but we want to find just something that's written, a family history or anything. And lots of looking. What we finally found was on WikiTree. John Ward on WikiTree. This is WikiTree is put together by genealogist John Ward. So he came to the United States from Ireland. He went on his own at first, and his wife Mary. We got Mary Campbell here, 1706. But in 1744, came from Donegal. She came later, and according to when he left, according to the family history, when he left Ireland, he had one son, and when the wife arrived, surprise, another son. Yay! And one of those sons was our Jacob. And if we get up here, Father Jacob Ward. Okay. There's more of the family history here. Some of the earliest writings, they had him as leaving. The oldest was William, the youngest Joseph, third son born in the U.S., and then the daughter Elizabeth was born in the U.S. as well. Some of the family historian Shirley Wells, she's a part of the family who wrote a family history in 1994. Investigated her a little bit. Thinks John's first wife died, married Mary Maggie, maybe. And they had a son, John, who was infant when the father himself died, when John died. And then she went on to remarry. Well, that'd be a lot of names that we got to get added and verified on there. But I haven't done that yet. So here's some various sources these folks use to get their information, including probate records. And the probate records were originally published in Chronicles of the Scottish Irish Settlements of Virginia, 1745 to 1800, for John Ward. Okay. And interestingly enough, I was able to find, so if John, born about 1704, and I believe it might be interesting, this came sometime in about 1760. Now, some believe that it may have been earlier than that. And if we look at, he had a brother named James. We look at this from the migration of the ancestors, migration of people through Virginia. This comes from a book, and this is about migrations and ancestors. James Ward, that's what it's tagged as. We'll see here that James Ward came to America through Pennsylvania in 1730. His sons, James Ward Jr., William Ward, and John Ward, and their families came over either with him or shortly soon after. Personally, from the information I've seen, I think that this could be our John Ward, and probably came over in the 1730s, and not as late as 1760. And we see the repeat of the names, which is very common. We see a John, William, and I believe there was a James in there somewhere. Maybe not a James, but John, William, and James, which is very common for them to be repeating names. So I believe that this John is our John, and that his father would have been this James. Right. So anyway, there is John Ward and Mary Campbell. And that gives us two different coats of arms from Ireland, Wards and Campbell. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys was the story of Joseph Bullard, which I had told Uncle Alfred about, and he found interesting, so I thought I'd share with the rest of you guys. Now, at the table at the funeral, it was a little hard to remember things, so I can share a little bit more specifically here. So we look at our grandparents, Alfred Smith and Dorothy West. And you go up to his parents, William Smith and Myrtle England. And then you get to his great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, and you find James Smith and Sabina Bullard. Sabina Bullard is the key person here. 16 kids, 11 of them reached adulthood. And, her parents were a Joseph Bullard and Eliza Ann Fitzgerald. Have not moved up past Eliza yet. We'll try to do that soon. She remarries a David Irwin because Joseph Bullard dies at an early age. Joseph Bullard, our triple great-grandfather, died about 25 years old. He was an amateur wrestler and died at the ring at age 24, leaving a wife and a daughter of about 18 months. That would be our great-great-great-grandmother. Or this would be our great-great-grandmother. So he was an amateur wrestler. Now, what we think of as an amateur wrestler would be, like the people that wrestle in the Olympics and everything. This is more of the professional wrestler that we know today in a ring. Our competitive wrestlers use mats, fighting mats. But basically, the word amateur here means it wasn't like his main job. He did shows and stuff like that. But what's interesting is he died in the ring at age 24, an wrestling accident. We get more proof of this on a website that is a professionally done website that has to deal with the descendants of the Fitzgerald family. And here we also have Eliza married Joseph Bullard. So this is that other side of the family we're talking about. And this is going to be key for me this side's going to help me with that branch. But she married Joseph Bullard. Family knows died in a wrestling ring accident. So there's our wrestler who had a horrible death of some sorts in a wrestling match. May have been practice. Who knows? Well, just wanted to share that with you guys. Have a great day.